I have a Hisense mini fridge and the freezer is cold but the fridge isn't getting. What can it be?
Do you know the model of your Hisense fridge? How old is it?
Model hash is RT33D60. I don't know how old it is.
How long has this been going on with your Hisense refrigerator? What have you tried so far?
Well, I just got it 2 days ago. AMD. I haven't done nothing to it yet. I've been trying to find out if it has coils and where would they be, as well as a fan.
Anything else we should know to help you best?
Ike. How long does it take to answer the question? This website said about 30 minutes. I feel like I've been waiting a while now. I even took part of the fridge apart and think it might be a relay. Maybe.
Unfortunately, when you first post your question, the questions you are asked initially are computer responses and not a live person, which can be confusing. All experts here work in our spare time and not on any set schedule from our homes, offices, etc. So many are on at odd hours. I prefer night, so I am always on late when others are not. I just got your question sent to me when I logged in. With the number of questions being asked, I often have many dozens of people with questions waiting on me to respond to them. I just want you to know that if it can take several minutes or longer to respond, and I am not ignoring you, I will help you resolve your question ASAP if I am online. Do you still need assistance with your question?
I do. My Hisense mini fridge are not working right. The compressor stays on all the time and the freezer is the only thing that is cold. There is a relay, I believe, that is plouged into the side of the compressor or condenser. That's, I think, might be part of the problem.
No, that is not a relay. The compressor running all the time indicates a low refrigerant gas level, or bad thermostat, or the most likely cause, which is a bad fan/defroster. I would expect that the defroster is not working, with is causing the frost to become ice, and this builds up to the point that the fan cannot turn and thus it can't blow the air across the cold fins, which is where the cold fridge air comes from and down into the fridge compartment. The unit should defrost on average for 20 minutes every 6 hours. Make sure the compressor is free of dust, grease, spider webs, etc. And the compressor fan runs to keep the compressor cool. When you take the freezer panel out to expose the fins, make sure to check the drain as well to see if the defroster is working and the ice melt is stuck, causing it to become a solid ice block when the compressor kicks back on after the defrost. I suspect is will be a bad defrost element, and you can check it for continuity with a multimeter. Here is how things should work that I made, since this problem is a daily occurrence on the site, how the defrost cycle and cooling works. Hello. Here is how all freezers/fridges/and coolers work. The freezer unit has a defrost timer that is usually located under the unit in the back and is a white disc-shaped device depending on exact models. But they all work the same. The unit turns on a defrost tube that is located in the bottom of those fins in the freezer and on top of a drain. The defrost heater turns on for 20 minutes every 6 hours to keep the frost and ice clear. If the ventilation is blocked off by the lack of a defrost of a clogged drain hole, this causes a solid block, and in a freezer and fridge the only part that cools is the freezer, and the air is forced into the fridge chamber by fan. So if the ice blocks this flow, the fridge heats up to an unacceptable level. The water that results from the ice melt goes down the drain, down the inside case of the back, and deposits in an evaporator pan on top of the compressor that is a holding area, and this water is evaporated by the heat the compressor generates, and at the same time helping to cool the compressor. There is no adjustment, and the timer and defroster work or they don't. Check where the water went when you defrost it manually, which you will likely have to do again. If it drains freely, then you can manually advance the timer that will click, and you should see and feel the defroster start to work, all while the covers are off and the fins exposed, obviously. Freezer cold, fridge warm. The evaporator fan is usually behind the back wall of the freezer compartment area. This is what pushes cold air into your refrigerator section to keep it cool. If piles of boxed frozen foods or something is interfering with the airflow in the freezer, you can have a warm fridge compartment. This fan and motor, called the evaporator fan and motor, draws air over the evaporator coils and circulates it throughout the freezer and refrigerator. The evaporator may be frosted up, caused by a defrost problem. Thermistor. If the freezer is cold but the refrigerator is warm, the thermistor might be defective. Blocked freezer drain. This is a very common issue, and it means that your defrost drain line has frozen over and will need to be thawed out. This oftentimes happens for no reason at all and is just random. You will need to remove everything out of your freezer and remove the back panel inside the freezer. Use a hairdryer to thaw all the ice out and locate the drain hole. Pour hot water down the drain hole until it's draining properly again. Once it's draining properly, blow compressed air down to make sure it's clear. If you don't have compressed air, use a turkey baster to make sure the drain line is clear and draining properly. Cut a solid copper piece of wire about 6 inches long. Wrap it around the defrost heater a couple times just above the drain hole and extend it 2 inches into the defrost drain hole. That will transfer heat into the drain hole when the defrost heater turns on and will prevent the defrost drain line from freezing over in the future.
Well, I appreciate what you are saying, but it sounds like you're talking about a full-size grinder. I have a little mini Hisense, and there was no ice cause I've only had it a couple days. So the very first time I plugged it in, it was already failing. I have looked for a fan cast, find one or the coils.
Did you purchase the unit new?
No, I bought it through a classified app from Facebook.
Okay, it does have an automatic defrost in the fridge but is a manual defrost freezer as shown here. Here is your manual. There are no fins like a traditional freezer, and the flow path is integrated into the freezer compartment.
Yeah, I've already got that.
The fridge section is cooled differently, and since it is not the freezer cooling the fridge, there is no traditional fan arrangement either, since it doesn't need one, and again the cooling lines and integrated into the compartment itself. So, there are none of the usual suspects present, and this points clearly to a faulty thermostat in the fridge section. If the freezer had the same problem, it would clearly be leak of the isobutane, R600A, but with just the fridge compartment problem, the thermostat is reading the temp incorrectly.
You think it's the thermostat?
Yes, since the freezer and fridge are independent and there is no fan for flow, that could cause an issue with the thermostat setting on the knob that does not match the temp the fridge is holding. So, this indicates that it is sensing an incorrect temp in the compartment, which would be the thermostat's job.
Kay, do you know a website that I can get one from? I need that switch that's on the side of the condenser.
Give me a few moments and I will see who is one of my usual supply houses.
Kay, thanks.
It has a high-tech mechanical thermostat. Make sure your foods are always stored at the correct temperature. It looks like you are going to have to get it from the manufacturer themselves. These are considered throwaway units by the big supply houses, and so there are no parts for them as far as internal controls. Give this number a call and they should be able to fix you up. If you have any problems or need additional assistance, I would be happy to come back in, and the system will notify me if you post again. If you don't give 5 stars, I don't get paid. Thanks, and have a great day.
Yep, thank you.
If you have a home improvement or appliance question and want to chat with an expert now, visit justanswer.com/ythi.